pleased to bring to the TLI stage two of our leaders who work professionally in leadership development. Natalie and Ron also happen to be Toastmasters savvy, as both are past presidents of Speakers Roundtable. So shout out to Speakers Roundtable, one of our elite advanced clubs in District 44. Together, they are leading public health, which includes the CDC, state and local health departments, and a wide array of private, community, and NGO clients. Individually, Natalie is a teacher with a passion for teaching leaders and experts how to speak and communicate in ways that facilitate learning, growth, and development. Ron is known as one of Georgia's 2 accredited speakers, but he also spends most of his time in leadership development and organizational strategy. Today, they're going to delve into crucial accountability. It's a key factor for good leadership and all the more important in Toastmasters because accountable people are a real piece of magic for strong clubs. Please help me in welcoming Natalie and Ron with crucial accountability.
I've got a question for y'all. Raise your hand if you've ever asked someone to do something, they said they were going to do that thing, and then they did not do that thing. Pretty common experience, right? And I'm sure when they did not do that thing, there's a lot of dialogue in your head, like, what a lazy, right? But now I've got a second question. Raise your hand if someone has ever asked you to do something. You said you were going to do that thing, and then you didn't do it. If you're here at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning, I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark that you are not lazy. That means there's something else going on, right? That means that there's an underlying issue because you are not bad people, you are not lazy people, you are not incompetent people. Sometimes things happen, and they happen to every single one of us, and they're happening in our clubs, and that means we dropped the ball, right? Today is not about tossing you another ball to juggle in your already overwhelmed lives. Ron and I are keenly aware that a lot of you are the atlases holding up your clubs almost by yourself. There are people in this room who are holding more than one officer role, right? There are some of you who have sworn that you'll never do a Toastmaster leadership role again, and yet you are here. Because you care, right? You care, and you want your clubs to be successful, and you want to have that sense of community, and you want to have that sense of success. Crucial accountability is about holding our members and ourselves accountable with compassion and care to get to great results. And most importantly, it's about doing it in such a way that creates less work, not more work. My personal mantra is work smarter, not harder, and that is what Ron and I are going to teach you today. Are you ready? All right, let's do this.
But first, extending on Tanisha's fun, I'd like to demonstrate our lighting system. Ebony, would you please stand? This is our 10-minute warning. Thank you, Ebony. Tanisha, this means it is time to stop. Kari, if you stand up, if Kari stands up, we are screwed. Just to be clear, she's the senior boss. We get that. We won't make you stand, Kari. It's important to have a little fun, isn't it? Why crucial accountability? Well, some of you were here a couple years ago when we taught crucial conversations. They're additive. Crucial accountability is a tool, along with crucial conversations, that Natalie and I have used, 6, 7, 8,000 times with individuals. Across the CDC, the state of Georgia, the state of North Carolina, Mexico, we use it over and over. There's a reason for that. First, because you saw it, because all your hands went up with this accountability problem, including us. Secondly, because we believe in inexpensive, off-the-shelf solutions, and this is one of those. It's a $15 book, which, by the way, some of you are going to get a chance to win today. Ah, wow, it's a giveaway. I know. Swag, they call that. We also love this, just like we do Crucial Conversations. And by the way, if you want to review that particular thing we did, it's on the SRT website. We captured it and posted it just like we are today, so go take a look at it. Speakers Roundtable, Advanced Toastmasters Club. It's an elite club in District 44, Kentucky. You should know this, you belong. But thanks for the cue. Here's what we like about both the tools. It's a 7-step framework. There's an assessment that helps you know how you do with the 7 pieces of the framework, whether you have the skills or you don't. It then directs you to the chapter to learn the skills you need to be better at that piece of the framework. For our purposes as trainers, as facilitators, as leadership development people, there is nothing better than something that is easy to use, that points you to what you need and gives you quick uptake. That's why Crucial Accountability. In addition, why Crucial Accountability? Because it is the magic elixir, not just in Toastmasters. Remember, we're not here just to be Toastmasters doing Toastmastery for the sake of Toastmasters because we care about Toastmasters. The point of Toastmasters' mission is to take it out of here. The point of being a good leader isn't just to be a good club officer, it's to learn how to do that, to take it out into the world, because the world needs that. And as you saw from your show of hands, accountability is an issue across the board. Everywhere. There's reasons for that. So this is going to be the 35,000-foot overview. We could talk all day. We have been known to talk all day on this topic. I'm going to talk for a few more minutes, and Natalie's going to give you some of the guts of it. But I want to do the first part, because the first part of Crucial Accountability says, start with me. Start here. You see, the accountability problem isn't out there. I know you'd like to blame somebody. It starts here. I was laughing with Elaine, wherever you are. She was seated behind one of the organizing tables, and I said, there you are again. And she said, I know, I keep showing up here, so what's the common denominator? She is. She keeps saying, I'll show up, so that explains everything. So you're the common denominator in all the problems you encounter. Here's what you need to know about this. We call this Start with Heart. I'm a social worker by education, often by practice, not intentionally, it just sort of shows up. I love this idea because it's like, okay, not just start with me, but start with my heart. What am I bringing to this thing? And the first piece, and this is so important, is best outcome. There was some incredible research that came out just a couple years ago. And it said the highest performing people and the highest performing cultures, organizational cultures, have a 7-to-1 experience of positive versus negative interactions. Now that doesn't mean that people just come up and say smiley face stuff to you. Oh, you're wonderful, Roxanne. Everything you do we love because you're so wonderful, because you're dressed beautifully and you have lovely hair. Which is all true, by the way. Right? But being able to talk to Roxanne, we had this conversation just recently, Roxanne and I, about your trajectory now. Being able to talk about difficult stuff in a way that builds people up. Call them up, don't call them out. 7-to-1. Now, if it's children, those of you who have kids, it's 17-to-1. Yeah, that should cause you to take a deep breath and go, oh man, I got a game to improve upon. That means every time we give someone a negative experience dealing with a hard conversation, if they're an adult, and by the way, most of you are like me, we're much more like children. You really ought to think it's like 17-to-1. I'm going to give you 17 positive interactions in order to offset one negative interaction. That is a high, high, high standard. But if you're going to be a good leader, and you know this, if I asked you all your favorite mentors, you wouldn't tell me it was someone who always smiled at you. You would tell me someone who asked a lot of you and pulled a lot out of you. Natalia did that a couple years ago with her and Linda Dyson. They cornered me in a room and they brought some of my best material out and they wouldn't let me go until 2.5 hours they had wrung it out of me. And it was unpleasant and it was challenging and it was beautiful. And I love Natalia and Linda for that because they got my best out of me. So it's not about being nice, although nice helps. It's about learning how to do this in a way that values people. Second piece, master your stories. Natalie alluded to this. I know you. I've talked with some of you. What is wrong with those leaders at these conferences? But they're obviously idiots. Why can't Toastmasters run anything on time? Who the hell is in charge of this anyway? That's storytelling. Natalie said this. This room is filled with people who are doing their darndest to bring good game. Julius. Give it up for Julius. The guy shows up, he gets it done, and he's in the background, and sometimes he has to say, Ron, I got too much to do. Don't ask me to do that. Which was cool, because he's got too much to do, and he does it well. These are good people. The world, I know your newsreels say you need to be worried about a bunch of evil people. The numbers say that something close to 100% of people are good-willed, well-intentioned, trying to do good work, trying to provide for their families, trying to help their communities out, trying to be useful in the world. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. But our storyteller doesn't go there. Our storyteller, when cut off in traffic, doesn't say, bless you. Right? That's what we do. That's storytelling. The reason we have to master our stories is there is no positive interaction that comes when we're in judgment. Zero. You know this, you've been judged, you've been condemned, you've been sent packing, you know exactly how it feels. We have to master our stories so when we open our mouths, the person who receives it receives that good heart of ours. And if we screw it up, as I often do, we own it and we make it right. Because you can't have a challenging conversation unless and until you're giving them that good heart, which means you got to get the judgment out of you. The third thing we need to say about this is safety. Part of what I said helps create safety. There's many things we can do with safety. Time of day, where we meet. One of the fun ones we play with, because I'm an old white guy, is we'll do these sessions, and oftentimes around Georgia, we have lots of African-American women, black women in them, and I will literally stand over them and say, how does this feel? And they'll go, it feels not good. And I go, well, of course it wouldn't feel good. There's a reason for that. And I need to be mindful of that. I need to be mindful of not blaming me. I'm acknowledging there's things in the world. There's things between men and women, older and younger. There's things between, our politics. You all know this. What's going on in the world. I have to create safety. I have to own safety. It even matters what I wear. I sometimes ask, well, why aren't you wearing a three-piece suit, Ron? You're a consultant after all. It's like because it shuts people up. They don't talk when I'm dressed in my best suit. My job involves talking to human beings. I roll up my sleeves and show up like a social worker because we need to talk. That's safety. And if I screw up, I need to say I'm sorry and I need to make it right on the spot. I need to watch them for when I make mistakes, because I will make mistakes. All of this sets the scene for the guts of the program, which is Natalie's to tell you a little bit about.
What Ron just described is essentially you're doing the pre-work before you have a conversation with someone else where you are going to hold them accountable. So let me repeat that. This is a strategy to have a specific conversation with someone else to hold them accountable. It can be a coworker, it can be a member of your club, it can be your spouse, it can be your kid. It doesn't matter. You're going to have these conversations. So once you've mastered your stories and you've considered safety, the first step is you are going to do something called describing the gap. And this is what it looks like. Hey, this is what we agreed upon. This is what you did. I'm curious to know what happened. You have to explain that there's a gap in what happened. Let me give you an example. I ask my VPN every single week, send out an email to every single guest that has ever come to SRT. And that email needs to have the Zoom link for our meeting. It needs to have a very enthusiastic welcome back. And it needs to give a little teaser, like here's why you should come to SRT. And then I noticed these emails were not being sent out, despite the fact that the VPN said they were going to do that. Now, I have a lot of options that I can pursue. The first is I can pretend nothing's going wrong, even though our membership is plummeting because we don't have any guests. Is that a good strategy? No, it's a terrible strategy. It might make you feel safe, but it's not a good strategy. All right? So instead, I've decided I'm going to have this conversation because I care about my club and I care about the people who need what we have to offer. This isn't about me looking like a hero. This is about me making sure that the people who need what Toastmasters has to offer are getting connected to the right people so they can be served. So you're going to describe the gap, and you're going to end with a question. Did you run into a problem of some kind? Hey, I'm curious to know what happened. And then you're going to do something that is very hard for most people. You're going to stop talking. You're going to listen carefully because they're going to give you some information, and you're listening to hear, is this a problem of motivation or ability? That's really important for what you do next. So you're going to describe the gap. You're going to end with a curiosity question. And by the way, master every ounce of self-control to make sure it's not a sarcastic question. Make sure you've had enough coffee first. And then you're going to shut your trap. It's really hard for a lot of people, especially Toastmasters, but you got to do it. Because you have to give them space to share with you what's happening. And if you keep talking, not only do you not learn anything, but you are now creating an unsafe situation where they feel judged and criticized. And as Ron pointed out, that's a great way to make sure people don't want to come back to your club. Or they don't want to work with you, or they don't want to be your friend, whatever it is. Hold on, we'll get to questions, all right? I want to talk a little bit about motivation versus ability. I taught for several years at an art and design college, and I happened to be the person teaching writing. I taught essay writing to artists. Early on in my career, I would motivate them by saying things like, if you master essay writing, you will get good grades. You will get your degree. It took me a while to realize that artists do not care about grades or degrees. And it showed in my results and how much they wanted to write those essays. What they did care about is being able to use their creativity to earn a living, which is really hard to do. There's a reason that everybody's familiar with the phrase starving artist. And something clicked. Learning how to write an essay is not about getting good grades, it's about learning how to craft an argument, organize your ideas, and support it with evidence. If you can master those skills, you will win any job interview, you will win over your clients, you will promote your best ideas to being adopted. That's what creatives care about. And if I come in and I say, mastering essay writing means that you are going to win over the highest paying clients, you have a better shot at getting the most cool jobs, and you will be able to thrive in your creative profession, that sounds pretty good, right? It was like a light switch. Everything changed. That's motivation. If it's a motivation issue, it's because they do not connect with the value of what you asked them to do. In the case of the VPM not sending out the emails, the motivation was they didn't understand the value. They didn't understand how those emails would bring in guests. Well, no one showed up last week when I sent the email, therefore it must not work. Aha! Now we have a motivation issue. Now, whatever I do next addresses motivation. And then we can start to work out a plan from there. Now, ability is they did not do what you agreed upon because they don't know how. They don't know how. Everybody was up here saying, I don't know how to do any of that, but I'm going to learn. Which is an amazing thing to admit, by the way. Nobody knows everything, but we all want to pretend we do. If you ask your VPN to send out those emails, and it turns out they don't know how to do that, they're too embarrassed to say so, that's a different accountability issue. I would never go to someone who didn't know how to do that thing and be like, aren't you motivated? Don't you get the value of emails wrong? No, instead I would say, hey, let's sit down together and let's walk through to make sure that we know what we're doing. Let's make sure that the emails say what they need to say and have the right links, and that all of the resources that you need are available to you. So when you ask, did you run into a problem of some kind, listen to what they say. Either they are not motivated because they don't understand the value, or they did not do it because it's an ability issue and there's a good chance they might be embarrassed to admit it. For you Toastmasters, and by the way, I love the way you guys set us up this morning, you should know why every single person in your club walked in that door. Why did they join Toastmasters? You should know that answer because you are the officers and thus the leaders. And motivation is everything. I was in a meeting once several years ago where an optometrist walked in and he said, I need to learn how to give presentations to my colleagues. And that club said, you know what you really want to do? You really want to be an area director, and here's all of your offices you're going to have to do. He never came back. We got to meet them where they're at. We got to motivate them. We got to figure out what's in it for you. And by the way, when you have a group of people who are getting what they need, you get what you need in return. You are in clubs full of happy, thriving people who are reaching their goals, and they know why and when and how. So then we're going to move to action, and Ron is going to detail that.
And as Natalie said, we have a little bit of time in the back end for questions. Let me buttress a couple things that Natalie was just talking about before we go to move to action. Some are really interesting ones. Sometimes what we hear is, well, I don't know what motivates them. Lena, would you stand up, please? I know you just love being surprised. Please stand up. Lena, if you would please stand up. Oh, you're doing something else. Sorry. My bad. Hey, I know what motivates Lena because I've been watching her. Lena's on one end of the bell-shaped curve. If we said, Lena, we'd like to start up a new club and you can get another DTM there, you're going to say, right? Put your hands up. I know your answer. Yeah. Because if you watch her, she will tell you what she values. And even if that's not my value, I honor your value. Right? Now, on the other end of the continuum, and they're not here to stand up because they're not here to stand up, are people who are on the other end of the bell-shaped curve who are totally unmotivated by you. They're on the end of the curve. It's not your fault. It's a bell-shaped curve. Of course they're there. If I walk, this is the funny part now, if I walk up that person and go, hey, you want 7 DTMs? And if Lena tries to explain to them why they should want 7 DTMs, it's 7, right? 6. Okay, you're on the way to 7. Yeah, which is a cool deal, right? Now, what I want to say about what I just did is I want to add to this. I love what Lena does. It is not my path, but I watch her and I go, this is amazing. I honor the way she is. I don't try and apply it to someone else. And I don't judge her or anyone else. I don't say with my curiosity question, well, this person doesn't want to join 8 Toastmasters clubs. What is wrong with them? They don't do that. It's that balance thing Ron was talking about. So I have to be really mindful of how I do that. And I hope you felt honored in letting you stand up and recognize that I get who you are and I see it and it's a magical thing and it's on my path, but that's okay. It works for you and for others. So having done all these things Natalie talked about, by the way, a little secret here when you're working with audiences, seeing people and acknowledging people is like a magic elixir for you as a person on stage. Because what happens is the attention isn't on me, it's on people who are here participating, doing their thing, showing up, like Julia's, for example. So move to action. Assuming you've done these things that Natalie has just walked you through, assuming you started with heart, assuming you figured out the motivation, figured out how to describe the gap, figured out how to make it easy for them, because if I offer something that's easy for people do it. Asking Shenandoah, Shan, you want to stand up? And Amanda to stand up. You'll notice they have cameras here. That's because they're recording and because they geek out on recording. Asking them to geek out on recording. If you were watching them for 20 minutes before we started, they were like, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. God, that is so cool. Asking them to do that honors them and takes them at their value and their best. It's not a burden when you ask someone to do something they love doing. Big piece of this. Amanda, thank you for that. And Shan, you always show up for these, so thank you. Okay, big hand of applause. All right, so, move to action. It's really pretty simple. Who's going to do what? You and me. I'm working with Roxanne, coming back to you. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? What's the commitment? Right? We just need to be clear on what that is. Doesn't matter what it is, we just need to be clear. Actually, I heard Ebony saying that. Clarity matters a great deal. The next piece, when are you going to do it by? Let's be clear. Next Friday, 2 weeks from now, a year from now, whatever. Just pick something you agree to. And then most importantly, make sure you know how you're going to follow up. Ronald Reagan had that great line many years ago. Some of you don't know this, but it's a great line: trust but verify. Okay? I want to trust you, but I need to make sure, as a leader, I need to make sure that we have a means of following up. Whatever works for you will work for me. We just need to agree to it. It needs to be a follow-up cycle. It may be multiple follow-up cycles. If we're doing some kind of a significant behavior modification, if we're really having to work our way down some challenging thing, we may have to monitor regularly. Some of my clients, we set up these processes where they meet with some of their staff as much as 2 or 3 times a week in this virtual world, because that's what they need to do to keep things tracking. It's fine. As long as it works, it's fine. We just need to be clear that we have to be clear, else it doesn't happen. How many of you have ever been surprised to find out something you weren't following up on didn't happen? It's not on them, didn't do this. So move to action closes the cycle. For those of you who follow Crucial Conversations, you'll notice there's a strong overlay on both of these models. If you look at both frameworks, you will see that they have multiple pieces that are the same, because they're the same foundational, effective interaction, communication, leadership skills. That's another reason why we like this. So we got to close the deal, got to get clear. The amazing thing for this about me, as I've watched this, is the better I get at closing the deal and playing to their strengths, playing to their motivations, playing to what feels good to them, accountability gets easy. It's surprising. If accountability is a challenge, it's probably because I'm not doing the stuff Natalie just walked you through. And that's on me, not them. Okay, Natalie?
I was president of Speakers Roundtable from 2016 to 2017. And during that time, we had 35 members. And for the first renewal, I got 100% renewal. 35 members. And by the way, these cats are not easy to group. Let me tell you how I did that. That piece about motivation and ability, my treasurer and I went to every single member of that club and checked in with them on their goals. What is SRT doing for you? What are you getting out of this? What are you looking forward to? Once they start talking about their goals, why they first walked in the door, boy, they're motivated now. They're renewing their membership now. And I can say very honestly, it was very selfish, because the more people in that room when I speak, the better feedback I get. My motivation is I do this for a living, and I need that feedback. I need that coaching. So it's on me to make sure that I've got a club that works for everyone. Motivation is one of the most powerful things you can master. And yes, there is a pathway for that. Did you know that? There is a motivating others pathway, if you're really curious about it. Holding each other accountable works magic. And as Ron mentioned at the start of this, there are numerous studies that say that the most effective leaders are the ones who have learned how to hold others accountable. That is why this is so important. It is so important that we have a few opportunities to give you some books. So here's the first opportunity, all right? Shake it out, because there's going to be a little bit of physicality here. I want to know, and by the way, you're going to earn a free book for this. I want to know, what is one thing that you learned in this session that you will take back to your club? The first person to raise their hand. Oh, it's on the back.
Yeah.
Yep. Come on down.
Come on down.
Come on.
Give her some applause. Lighten you up. By the way, those of you new to Toastmasters, we keep applauding, right?
One of the things that I learned from today, well, I learned a lot and took a lot of notes, is that when you're giving someone feedback, you want 17 points of positivity to that 1 point of that negative point that you have to talk to them about, because you're building them up and calling and bringing them up, not calling them out.
Yeah.
By the way, those of you who've been to Speakers Roundtable know that we don't have one evaluator. We actually have round robin coaching, and what we teach people to do is say, here's what I loved, here's what I'd love to see more of. Here's what I'd love to see more of. We call people up, it has tremendous results. Now, there's going to be more opportunities to get books in your officer training session. We've left it up to the individual trainer to determine how to give you one of those books. They're also available on Amazon and at your local library. And when I say that this is one of the most important frameworks that Ron and I teach leaders across state and federal agencies, it is because we have seen the tremendous results that happen on teams when they learn how to hold each other accountable and accountable to high standards and with compassion and care.
So, we have a lot of hands go up, so we're going to give someone else a chance to ask a question. If someone would raise their hand again and come on down. There's no book in this one, but I saw that hand. Come on down. Applause. Lots of applause. Yay. Yay. Look at that brisk walk. Okay, I'm going to give you the microphone, but you have to give it back. Okay.
Can we get the book today, even if we don't win it? Because I'm very interested in everything that you have to offer us already.
Oh! And your name?
My name is Michaela Cornell, and I'm with City Talkers.
We did not bring extra copies. However, you can go on the web. We don't make any money off this product. We want good product in people's hands. They can make their money. It's a good product. Go to Amazon, click on buy now. You will have it. If you're a Prime member, you'll have it like by tomorrow. Right? Okay.
Or, wait, what officer are you?
I'm the VP of Education.
VP of Education. When you're in your VP of Education session, there will be a book to win. But that is up to whoever's leading that session how they want to give out that book. So,
more opportunities, but more random.
And it's up to you to figure out how to win. Okay? We still have a couple of minutes. Oh, here we go. Right here in orange. Come on down. Give her some applause. Great color on you, by the way.
Good morning. What I learned is you start with the heart. Oftentimes we're in our feelings and we start with the head, and we end up hurting people's feelings, and then they're not motivated to come back. So you start with the heart.
Yeah, and you are?
Dolores Baskin, Cascade United Toastmasters.
Thank you, Dolores. So here's the standard I hold myself to, and Natalie may have a thought about this as well. My standard, no matter what the things are I have to deal with, personally, professionally, spiritually, because I work in that space too, I never want you to go away from an interaction with me diminished. Never. 0 incidences. 0. I hold myself to that because it's an unacceptable outcome. Natalie, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add about this idea, but I'll give you the microphone.
I just want to hold the microphone. We're going to close out now. We want to be very respectful of your time. Please know, Ron and I are both introverts, and we love being up here, so it is not exclusive just to the extroverts in this room. We hope you learned so much today. Thank you.
Kick him off the stage.
Apparently we're done. The giant group's going to come out in just a second, but thank you so much for being here, guys. It's so wonderful to be in person with y'all again, and we hope you learned so much in your sessions today.
Okay, so what we didn't know was that Julius with music track, with Trump, Ebony, and Tanisha, and Kari with their colored coordination. So I want to share something with you. We've just used the framework on you. We've just practiced it with you. You can use it even in group work. We have been describing the gap. As soon as Natalie had you hold up hands about the gap for others and you, that's the gap. And it's a very visual, visceral gap. It's like, oh yeah, I know that deal. We spent time sharing information with you, trying to make sure that you understood what might help you in terms of starting with heart. And thank you again for acknowledging that. It's a valuable piece of, obviously, in my frame of reference. To really think about, like, how do I do that? And we thought about that. They're coming back for the first time after a while. We need to give high value to their time because nobody wants their time wasted. We need to give you something you can walk out of here with, and you're going to get to take it. We're going to close the deal in your training sessions. We worked that through with Rod to keep moving along. We've tried to motivate you by helping you understand the underpinnings of this. We've tried to make it easy by giving books away, by giving you just a 35,000-foot overview. We've honored you and recognized that if you want to learn it, you'll learn it. And if you're not ready to learn it, there's not a whole heck of a lot we can do. That is totally okay. You'll get there sooner or later. And we've tried to even push it into your training sessions to close the loop to make it even easier to practice this. So we have been practicing the principles, and my encouragement to you is not just to think about this, Pranisha, as a one-on-one thing. When you do your trainings, when you do your podcasts, when you're in a pulpit, think about how you can use the principles to move a group of people in a direction that is beneficial to them and by definition beneficial to you. We have to start thinking this way. And here's the closing point before Julius hits me with the music. Again. If I can't figure out how this is to your benefit, and likewise to my benefit, it doesn't work. But I have to start with you. I have to be audience-centric, not egocentric, because it is not about me even when I'm on a stage. I have to be audience-centric, else it fails. But if the audience benefit doesn't likewise benefit me, it fails for me as well. It has to be a win-win. We look forward to seeing you in these deals, and we'll be happy to chat a little bit between now and then. Natalie, anything else? Okay, hit it.